nowhere else but Burger Chef. I'm Jason Horton.
I'm Rebecca Lieb.
And this is Ghost Town.
We have new images tonight of this, a murder weapon used in the unsolved Burger Chef murders. Indiana State Police hope that someone recognizes this broken knife blade. They say whoever owned it likely carried it in a sheath, and that sheath has never been found.
I was a Midwestern teenager. You know Midwestern teenagers. They love smoking under the bleachers, they love their fast food, and they do not like dying.
Yeah, same here.
That's universally known. The teenagers love, rock and roll music. They love their hot, fast cars. They don't like being taken out into the woods and executed with knives and guns. So that's something we all agree on that. Here we are, 5725 Crawfordsville Road in Indiana. We are in the great state of Indiana, Speedway, Indiana, more specifically, to bring you hot off the grill. Sorry. Oh my God.
Just get it out of the way.
Whoa. We are here to talk about the very famous, very unsolved Burger Chef murders. This is a really interesting one because it is still unsolved and because it's so gruesome, and we're still kind of putting together the pieces of it. So it's, and another thing too, tragically, it takes place and the victims are all really young. It also takes place a day before Jonestown breaks. So all of it, media-wise, gets completely swept under the rug, which is incredibly tragic given how the people respected the victims involved and how hardworking they were all. This is a very lower middle class place, and families involved were all hard workers. Again, this is not like, a bunch of elitist teens who go out in a jaunt and get killed. This is way sadder. So a Burger Chef employee came by the Burger Chef at 5725 Crawfordsville Road at midnight to visit his 4 coworkers and noticed that the restaurant was empty and the back door was wide open. He walked in and everyone had vanished. He realized that at that point between 11 p.m. and midnight on November 17th, 1978, that 4 of his friends working at the Burger Chef restaurant in Speedway, Indiana, had disappeared. They were Jane Freed, 20, Daniel Davis, 16, Mark Flemons, 16, and Ruth Ellen Shelton, 18 years old. Young people worked really hard, all very trusted. Again, I think it speaks to how responsible they were, that they were all left alone to close out this restaurant. That was a pretty popular locale for teenagers. Initially, of course, Indiana police didn't take the case seriously, given that management reported the loss of only approximately $581, which is $2,200 in 2019 from the safe, and there were no signs of struggle. It was thought to be a case of petty embezzlement, with the assumption that the cash had been used by the teenage employees to go out partying that night, which again doesn't make sense considering who they were, their work ethic, how beloved they were too, as we find out later in this story. The Indiana police wanted to draw conclusions really quickly and make this into something that it clearly wasn't. And this became an outrageous claim initially from all of the parents and friends and family. Change had been taken from the registers. The purses of the missing women had been left at the shop too. And so the police ran with the petty theft theory initially. And horrifyingly, the scene was cleaned up by employees early Saturday morning. Classic bungled police situation where we could have had more information had someone just been like, wait, let's not clean this up. We don't know that that's the case. And really, it isn't the case. So we could have really maybe even solved this had the police just given the whole place a second to become a crime scene. When the 4 didn't show on Saturday morning and Freet's Chevy Vega was found partially locked in town, things changed a bit. The police kind of revised their story. Now it felt a little clearer that Jane, Daniel, Mark, and Ruth had been taken while closing up the restaurant for the night, possibly as they removed trash bags out the back door, which is what they kind of thought, because what other time would they be leaving without their purses and belongings? On Sunday afternoon, hikers found the bodies of the 4 kids over 20 miles away in the rural woods of Johnson County. Both Davis and Shelton had been shot execution style numerous times with a .38 caliber firearm. Not far away was Freet, who had been stabbed twice in the chest so hard that the handle of the knife had broken off and was missing. The blade was later recovered during her autopsy. About 75 yards away, police made another horrible discovery. It was the body of Flemons. He had been beaten severely with an iron chain, but this wasn't the cause of his death. He had been beaten, ran into a tree while fleeing his captors, and knocked himself unconscious. Then he choked on his own blood as he was falling downhill and died. Really sad. Also, to give this another level of tragedy, all of these, they were all very active in their school athletics. They were all really fit and strong and young. So the magnitude of this, again, who knows what exactly happened, but 2 of the employees being shot, point blank execution style, the other 2 trying to make a run for it, one of them going one way, getting stabbed, one of them going the other way after getting found and getting beaten, and then essentially choking on their own blood and dying. What a horrible, horrible way to go. The leading theory has been that 4 victims were kidnapped during a botched robbery, possibly after one of the victims recognized one of the perpetrators. That theory is based on the autopsy report showing some of the bruising on his head and shoulders were estimated at being an hour or 2 old prior to death. And that is Flemons with the bruising, the guy who was beaten and then choked on his own blood. We do have a witness to this, which has been pretty key to the case. A 16-year-old eyewitness appeared as this was going on. And by this, I mean as people were approaching the Burger Chef, saying that he saw 2 suspicious men in a car outside of the Burger Chef just before closing. Both men were white and in their 30s. One man had a beard. The other was a clean-shaven man with light-colored or fair hair. The police had models of the suspects created in clay to assist the investigation. We'll probably put them up. Again, hard to say how helpful these models were, I guess. They don't really look like anyone to me. And especially, think about, 2 white guys in their 30s, one with a beard, one with lightish hair in rural Indiana. Not super helpful.
I think the fact that they are people they went to school with, at least according to this witness, is the first thing I thought of. Was like, oh, is it people they went to school with and it was personal in that sense? But I guess this sounds like they might rule that out.
Yeah, exactly. They seem older, the authority figures, the 30s, and also like who really knows how reliable the witness is too? What was happening there? Later that year, a man in a bar in Greenwood, which is pretty close to where everything went down, bragged that he'd been involved in the killings. Police subsequently questioned him, but he passed a polygraph claiming not to have been involved, and officers were unable to bring charges on other grounds. The man provided the names of the others who he suggested belonged to the fast food robbery gang and whom investigators suspected may have been also involved in the case. While following up on these leads, officers spotted a man who bore a strong resemblance to the bearded man composite. Summoned for a lineup, the man shaved his beard, which he had for 5 years straight, the night before he was about to appear. Great strategy. Very clever. A neighbor of his who had not been spotted by the original witness, but who had been named by the Greenwood suspect, subsequently went to prison for strong-armed robberies and committed with the shotgun that he had committed with a shotgun. Another associate named by the Greenwood suspect, who fit the description of the fair-haired man, also was imprisoned for armed robberies of fast food restaurants. It's all kind of coming together, but also kind of not, but also the Greenwood suspect didn't pass a polygraph. However, without confessions, despite officers offering plea deals to any suspect not directly responsible for the killings, and without direct physical evidence of the involvement of the suspects in the murders, police were not able to arrest anybody. Very, very stressful. It's like you're so close, you know that they all do lots of gun shit, they all rob fast food restaurants, but you just don't have that final link that kind of like takes them over the edge and are able to arrest them with that information. At the time, there was some speculation that the murders were tied to other crimes that had shocked the town over the preceding months, such as the murder of Julius Cyphers and the Speedway bombings, which were a series of 8 random bombings that occurred between September 1st, 1978 and September 6th, 1978 in Speedway, Indiana. So this town is already reeling from this tragedy, trying to link it to the Burger Chef murders. At the time, the perpetrator of the bombings was still on the loose. However, they found the person who did this, so they were out after the fact. Investigators continue to follow the leads relating to possible suspects as widely as Cincinnati, Milwaukee, Chicago, and Dallas. However, they weren't able to find any more leads or to locate any evidence that they believe would have been helpful. Maybe the firearm, the handle of the knife, the chain may be used in the murders. Nor have any perpetrators made confessions to the police, though the son of the bearded suspect told the police that he confided in him that he had been involved prior to his own death. Ken York, one of the original investigators on the case, has noted that the deaths of the Greenwood suspect and the bearded suspects, from an apparent suicide and a heart attack respectively, came pretty close to the release of the armed robber named by the suspect from the Greenwood bar. Very convenient, their deaths. But let's take a little break there, and we'll get back to it.
People have really come through on the positive, encouraging reviews.
I need it. Thank you. My self-esteem is so low. Read these to me. Feed me.
This is what you need to...
This is what I need to get up every morning.
All right, well, let's start with... there's a couple here. Let's start with... This one was from Hello and No. Love this show. Always keeps me interested and always look forward to new episodes.
Thank you.
This one's from...
What about one about my body? Just kidding.
I keep that in a separate folder.
Oh, okay.
That you told me to do. I was like, I don't know why
I
in a separate
them.
folder.
Keep them together.
It made it very weird that I said I keep things in a separate folder. I do not keep anything in a separate folder. Everything's
all in the same.
It's all in the
mishmash
same
folder. You know us. We're horrifyingly disorganized.
It's cool. This one's from Graves.TextTerror. Ooh. Digging it. Always looking for a spooky, dope podcast. As someone who does a lot of traveling to weird and spooky places, it's nice to have some new recommendations. Also, as a native New Yorker, what's up? And someone who grew up in the punk scene, what's up?
Whoa, are you Jason? Did you write back into us?
And even though Jason is so gorgeous and modelly, we should see his face more. Yeah.
He called you modelly?
Called me very tall, too.
Whoa, geez, you do not. Never mind, I took it all back.
I love the personal stories and any and all New York music-related content. I found both hosts funny and genuine. I don't get all the rude negative reviews.
Thank you.
Like, it's clearly a mix of comedy and spooky, weird, true crime stuff. It's not meant to be an endless dry factoids. Let folks live.
Let us live.
Live, let live. live, eat, and pray, and love.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, you can listen to something else. It's that easy without being rude about it.
But don't listen to something else.
Yeah, no, but just keep listening to this. This one is from Mayor82. The show is a gem. I don't know what some of the bad reviewers consider a good podcast. You could find 1,000 that are strictly about hauntings, but this show is so cool and unique. I think you'll get even more popular in the future. If you have a bit of a dark sense of humor and love anything about dark history, abandoned buildings, Hollywood lore, these are your peeps. I also love the mini fail episodes about random, weird blips in history that don't go so well. Keep it up, guys.
Yeah, thank you. That's amazing. We love the fails too. We love that you love what we're doing here. Also, you can DM us for any recs too.
We've been getting a lot of recs.
Yeah, but I also like giving recs. So if you're going somewhere and you want some direction, that is literally my dream job.
Do you want a quiz?
Yeah.
Okay, this is from Forrest Whitaker's Eyes.
Oh, I love him!
Would you rather live in the John Benet Ramsey murder house or live in the creepy abandoned land of Oz in my lovely home state of North Carolina?
Whoa, well, I mean, I feel like this is loaded because he's like my beloved home state haunting or John Benet Ramsey house. I mean, have you seen inside the John Benet Ramsey house? There's a wine cellar. I think that's where I would be.
I do
Just
the land
like
of Oz.
Really?
I love a very pale kind of.
I want to be
forgotten.
comfortable.
Yeah,
but I want to live in like bougie Colorado. You know,
I guess you probably can't
Starbucks.
survive living outside in some kind of.
I mean, think about this from a realist perspective.
No,
the John Benet Ramsey house, all the parking. What are you talking about? That house is so temp regulated. There's 4 different bedrooms I could choose from. I could just alternate. I could just go from 1 to 1 to 1.
The Frenchie dog lady. Will you ever do anything on the Winchester Mansion? I mean, it's a pretty popular thing, but have you been there?
Yes, I've been there many a time. And I always, the Winchester Mansion is one of those things where I always think that we've done an episode on it.
Yeah.
Because I've had
it's such a given.
Yeah, but actually we should because we talked about the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
And that is based off the Winchester one. So we should go there. We should do an episode on it. And we will. You know what? I'll deliver that to you.
What about the Queen Mary? I've never been.
Oh, I've been there too. Queen Mary's great.
They're
Queen Mary,
pretty popular.
I think we could get press passes to the Queen Mary.
Yeah.
So we might, especially come Halloween time.
And also Toretto0593 from Charles. I just subscribed to your Patreon today at patreon.com/ghosttownpod for bonus episodes and ad-free early releases.
You did it.
He's in Fontana, not far from you guys. You should do a podcast in the San Bernardino County area, which I feel like
we've been around there. We've skirted
Yeah.
that area. There's also that really old historic Mission Hotel over there, which is great, which I've always, again, kind of flirted with the idea of doing an episode about it. So we'll get there. There's so much stuff there.
Thank you for the nice reviews.
Yes, we're definitely going to do the Winchester
kind.
Mansion. I'm down to do Queen Mary. Those are all really fun, delicious suggestions that we will take up. Because you know what? We take criticism, constructive criticism.
Poorly.
Awfully. Exactly. But how about we get back to less criticism and more murder?
I do like that.
Is that a good transition?
Yeah.
All right.
Give me something off the dollar menu. Sorry, I had to do one.
They don't. This is
This
different
didn't exist.
time, a different place.
We've done a bunch of fast food things, like the mysterious case of Benjamin Kyle outside of a Burger King.
Absolutely.
I mean, that was in Georgia, and I feel like we've had a haunted.
Yeah, we
one.
do some fails on fast food because I think those fails are so crazily calculated that when they fail, people are like, "What?" Yeah. So those are really great. I love doing a food thing, and I mean. Also, fast food is such a signature of America. It's kind of like when we do Disney things. Everyone has an opinion on fast food. Everyone has a nostalgic component that fast food brings them, be it good or bad.
Like I've been to a fast food place, so you really kind of, I think it's like a great equalizer
exactly.
of anything.
It's a McNugget of wisdom.
Okay, I'll accept it.
Thank you. So we're back. Let's go back to Indiana. We're back to Burger Chef. This investigation is hot. Also cold, because police were idiots in this case, and we don't have enough information to convict anybody. Despite thousands of hours of police investigation, as well as Burger Chef offering a reward of $25,000 to anyone who could capture the murders or provide information about the whereabouts, the attackers were never prosecuted, and the case remains officially unsolved. Indiana State Police continue to hold the case open and have reportedly investigated the possible use of new DNA tracing techniques developed since the initial investigations, which again would be very difficult because you don't have a lot of DNA in this case, especially, I presume, I didn't really read anything about the weather, but I presume it was pretty cold. I presume the forest has already kind of overturned anything you might find. We talk about the knife that was embedded in one of the kids. That is probably cleaned up. Like, we don't have like a bloody murder scene here. We have an abduction scene, which is much harder. I mean, you could kind of swab the purses that were there, but again, I don't think after the cleaning of that in the forest, the two sites that would be most pertinent to DNA use and newer technologies are kind of wiped clean. So unfortunately for that. So during the summer of 2018, 40 years after the Burger Chef murders, the community, as well as the family and friends of the victims, raised money to plant 4 red oak trees in their honor. Each tree is adorned with a plaque with a short biography of one of the victims based on the testimonials by family and friends and doing research online. So you ready to maybe cry a little bit?
No.
Okay. So on Mark's plaque, they said he was friendly and selfless with a sense of style. Daniel was a talented photographer who made loved ones smile. Jane was a leader with a sense of humor and a heart of gold. Ruth was creative, honest, and kind with a love for music. It is very tragic, and even another component of this tragedy is, like we said earlier, Jonestown broke the day after this happened. So you're competing with a lot of Jonestown media, and this tragic, horrible killing of these 4 kids, like really mostly teenagers, one 20-year-old, was swept under the media rug.
When you have cults, you have kind of an international situation and a lot of people, and it's sensationalized on many different fronts. It's like kind of hard to
compete.
Yeah.
And that's the grossness. This is so many like gross components. It's the cops' negligence, right? And then the media kind of gravitating towards something that would bring in more reviews and not giving this. If this had happened at a different time, things may have been different. We may have gotten more clues from people, more eyewitness testimony, more people coming forward. It's hard to say. Because the original monetary goal to pay for the memorial was surpassed in 24 hours, a marble bench was installed and dedicated to the family and friends of the victims. On November 10th, 2018, just 1 week before the 40th anniversary, a small dedication ceremony for family and friends was held at the memorial site at Leonard Park in Speedway, Indiana. During the event, the murders weren't brought up a single time. Instead, people remember the 4 for who they were and the lives that they lived. Ugh. According to Fox 59, there are still witnesses to and potential participants in the Burger Chef murders living in central Indiana. So if you have any information that could solve this enduring mystery and bring those responsible to justice, the number is still live. Crime Stoppers 317-262-TIPS. Even now, you could get a $1,000 reward that might help close the case.
Somebody knows something and they perhaps feel like it doesn't make a difference anymore.
No, it still does. And that is the beauty of like podcasts like this. We're very influential, obviously, but things, maybe the word is spread somehow and whatever, like, and entertainment, media.
And if you feel
whatever.
if you're somebody who's like, oh, people are going to be like, why didn't you tell us, 39 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
That's beside the point. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have information, it brings closure that you like. I can't imagine, but I can. I mean, you have to imagine that
Yeah.
to bring closure and or move things forward.
Exactly. Like most of these people are still alive. This is not that long ago. So again, I love hearing stuff like that on cold cases where people are still trying to be active. And reading a lot, I don't have anything in here, but there are a lot of the police that were involved in this, and they gave quotes to a lot of the 40-year anniversary reporting. And they're like, we know that they're out there. We know that there's more information. We think a lot of people think it's that blonde-haired guy or the guy that confessed in Greenwood. Some don't, but they're like, we know that there is more to this. We are retired. We were shitty about this. And we know that something could come of this if people have more information. So that stuff is so heartbreaking and also kind of inspiring in a grotesque way, because you're like, this could get solved for these families. Let's hope, maybe. I want to thank Indianapolis Monthly, Fox 57, Indy Star, and of course Reddit for this information. But we'll see, that is part of the whole journey is seeing what happens. It's been more than 40 years at this point. But that's not 100 years. That's not 200 years. Who knows? Who's to say?
Have you been to a Burger Chef?
I have not been to a Burger Chef.
Yeah, I've never.
We had a lot of holdups at the George Webb by where I grew up, which was a dangerous. George Webb was in a kind of a dangerous spot. But my brother worked at McDonald's. One time in college, he filled my fridge with salad shakers, which dates me very much.
Those are such a scam.
They were a scam. They were awful. Who gets the salad? It's all, any healthy food at a fast food restaurant is a scam because no one's going to get it. There's actually a psychological phenomenon of that. If you see a healthy menu item, even if you don't get it, just seeing it makes you feel like you're being healthier.
It's also like, oh, I'll get a Diet Mountain Dew and
and like a
Twinkies.
quarter-pounder, yeah.
Exactly. So that's we're passing judgment on something I would do right now.
We have eaten buckets of chicken before recording, so lest you not be judged. I don't know, the Bible.
Open wide America, we're gonna give you more. Burger Chef has everything we know you're looking for.
Open wide for Burger Chef's 100% all-beef burgers, like our thick, juicy Super Chef, cooked from a full quarter pound. That's big bite delicious.
Open wide America, you never can forget.